So today I want to talk to you about Bali and perhaps, let's say, 10 things I wish I knew before coming, or 10 things not to do, of which I would say one is definitely don't walk too close to the edges of a cliff. Guys, I'm in Uluwatu right now. I'm leaving Bali in a couple of days, and you know, after coming for, I think this is my 5th visit right now over the past few years, there's a couple of things I wish I would know before coming. At my very first visit, I've been scammed a couple of times. I've stayed at areas that I really didn't like. I was fairly disappointed by some of the beaches, some of the sites I have visited. And after all of that, I still have to say Bali is one of my favorite places in the world. It's a huge island. There is so many different things to do, and I feel like for whatever you're looking for, most likely you're gonna find it. While at the same time, if you go through the internet, if you talk to some people, there's a lot of people that didn't really enjoy Bali. And I want to break down to you a little bit some misconceptions, some things I think that are worth knowing before coming, be it areas to stay, beaches, be it potential scams. So if you come to Bali, or even if you have been, hopefully we'll give you a bit of an idea. Also share a couple of stories, a couple of the scamming stories after it happened once, never happened again, let's say like that. And yeah, I'm here right now in Uluwatu at one of my very famous favorite places, the Borang Cliff. And I would say let's start with number one. The biggest misconception is that Bali is this paradise place with blue waters, white sand beaches. But you really have to go to the right area. So the major areas to stay at is Kuta, Seminyak, and Canggu. It's kind of like busy tourist areas. Personally, I would say stay away from Kuta unless you want to have like really craziness, alcohol. Seminyak is decent, but a lot of tourists. Canggu, very busy, but much more expats. Uluwatu, where I am right now, a fairly peaceful, quiet place. So personally, usually I bounce between Canggu and Uluwatu. Then you can go to the north, super peaceful, super local Balinese life. And that's just something really to keep in mind if you come to Bali. Make sure to check out a couple of different areas and don't...
What did I say?
What about Kuta?
Stay out of it!
Okay. And you know, that's probably point number 2. Be aware of certain dangers. Honestly, I would say Bali is one of the safest places you could travel to if you just take. But before we talk about exactly just that, a quick word from my favorite video sponsor, Level8 Luggage. So guys, if you are planning a trip anytime soon, be it to Bali, be it anywhere else, you know, one of these might come in handy. I've been rolling with the carry-on suitcases for almost a year, also have a checked luggage, and I have to tell you, quality is really out of this world, especially the aluminum suitcase, but they also have more affordable options on their website. For the longest time I've been always a carry-on guy, just makes everything so much convenient, but also they have different checked luggages, and as of right now you can get 15% off with my code Danny15. I'll make sure to put it on here. So in terms of the organization, the design, how it looks, check out Level 8. I'll make sure to leave everything in the description together with a code for 15% off. And so yeah, let me know what piece you might end up getting. Some guys were texting me they got the same one, they were very happy with it, and yeah, I can see why. Alrighty guys, so to summarize, they do worldwide shipping. US and Europe is completely free, but no matter where you are, you can get your hands on a Level 8. And instead of going through a bunch of low quality luggage, I highly recommend investing in a high quality piece. And yeah, well, let's talk perhaps about the other side of Bali. Maybe the dark side. Well, somewhat. So I would say this explains quite well why Uluwatu is one of my favorite parts in the world probably, but at least in Bali. You know, these cliffs, the height is truly one of those things that sometimes you see like a sick place, but it's not that big, it's not that large. But this is one of those places that truly lives up. So I would say Bali is one of the safest places you could travel to if you just take just the basic precautions. Obviously, if you're gonna go to the most busy tourist area, if you look like an easy target, might take advantage of you. Sometimes if you go online, you read about some people getting their phone snatched out of their hand, and I have to tell you one thing, it happens, just don't have your phone out when you're driving on the scooter. Actually, it almost happened to me once. I always had it out on me on the scooter, driving every day, but once a guy was reaching for it. Luckily, that's a cool story, bro. I was holding to it for my life. I'm like holding to it, he's looking me in the eyes, I'm looking him in the eyes, and I'm like, bro, why do you touch my phone? You know, and then he just rode off. But could have gone wrong, and honestly, that really depends which area you're in. I think it's really not common. It's always the spotlight effect. If something happens, people tell about it all over the internet. And if you're staying in the very busy areas where there's a lot of people, I would say that's where potentially something might happen. So generally, I would say out of all the places I've traveled to, Bali feels extremely, extremely safe. So I would say right now we're gonna ride out. I'm gonna take you along on the other 8 points. Make sure to stick around for the story of the first day, how I arrived, and I've been taking my money off of me like 3 or 4 years ago in Bali. And yeah, I would say before we leave, number 3, keep in mind that while Bali is a huge island and there's so much to do, don't forget the smaller surrounding islands around it. Nusa Penida, Nusa Ceningan, there is Lombok not too far, the Gili Islands, especially the surrounding islands of Nusa Penida, they're still considered kind of like part of Bali, but the scenery, the beaches, that's where the true paradise is at. So if you're coming to Bali, I would say that is the most worth trip to do. Nusa Penida, absolutely beautiful. The first time I came to Bali, I did not go. And then when I left Bali, I was like, what did I do? So first time I came, I wish I would have known that. So let's continue. Point number 4, let's ride out of here. The Borang Cliff. Absolutely love this place. If you come during the day, it's a little bit tricky to get in here. Be careful at the cliff there. But yeah, what a scenery. You can check it out. Just film a little reel on Instagram. Let's go. Bit tricky to get here, huh?
Yeah, you have to really be like resourceful, you know?
Your unmatched perspicacity, matched with sheer indefatigability,
Well, guys, you
makes you a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor.
know, what I want to see is like normal says people won't think of this solution, but for a midget like me, that's the only way you see.
It's like, I love this, like always like people like, well, this is a sunset spot, so at sunset it's so busy.
Yeah.
But what about the beach, you know?
Yeah.
I just think like, well, during the day it's also a great spot. Especially if you come to like tan and shit. So going for a little dip here at the Uluwatu beach. Nice by the cliff, many rocks, but still fairly clear water.
Compared to Canggu, there is absolutely no trash.
Compared to Canggu, this is like Maldives.
Wow, incredible.
We love Canggu, but it's just a different vibe out here. So this is pretty much the main Uluwatu beach. Fairly nice, a bit busy. You kind of walk it down through the cliffs all the way down. Have like a little nice cave entrances, and to the left, to the right, nice beach. Oh, a monkey like right here. Have you seen a monkey?
No.
There he is.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, hello.
What's up?
Yeah, it looks like they have monkeys on rocks. I would touch his tail, but you know. My team is great. It's fantastic. They're the best. They're the safest. It's true.
There's a dog.
There's
How
a
did
dog.
we find it?
So guys, made it to the Melasti beach, 10,000 for the entrance. Let's see. So this, I would say, is the nicest beach in Bali, at least the one that I know. Melasti beach. The water is really super blue, so just got down here, just went for a little swim. What do you think, best beach?
Yeah, definitely. In Bali.
Last time the tide was fairly low, so you could go very easily all the way in. Right now they got pretty nice big waves. There's kind of like a day club in the back. Here you got tanning beds, and up there, this wasn't here a year ago, so built a huge day club as well. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about beaches. Definitely something I wish I would have known before coming to Bali. I mention it in the Bali videos frequently. Really, depending on where you go, You might find these kind of like yellow sand beaches, depending on the season, there might be a bit of trash on it. But if you go to the right places, you can also get like super blue beaches, blue waters, nice white sands in Uluwatu. If you go a little bit further up here, there's the beach with the black sand, which can actually be also pretty cool. But really, depending on where you go, I think a lot of people come to Bali, they don't even see the really nice beaches. This is here more for surfing, I would say. So definitely something to keep in mind if you're coming to Bali, to not, let's say, have your expectations not met, because that was definitely one of the main reasons why when the first time I came to Bali I was a bit disappointed, just because I didn't find any good beaches really, of which there are plenty, but it's a huge island. You really have to kind of like do a little bit of research before. Most of my favorite beaches are in the Uluwatu area.
Wow.
Oh wow, yeah.
Wow. We need to come back with the drone. That looks so beautiful. Wow.
Oh yeah. Okay guys, and to give you an idea about these black sand, these notorious black sand beaches, actually they have a charm to them. So this is a little bit behind Canggu, actually like a really nice scenery, and just absolutely super dark sand. And obviously, for full transparency, if you're a little bit outside of the main areas, depending on the tide, depending time of the year, the waters might be coming in and bring quite a lot of trash. This is still kind of fine. So some beaches are clean, some have some trash on them. The nature in general is beautiful, but that's just something to keep in mind. They have white sand beaches, brown sand beaches, yellow, and just charcoal black. It's unbelievable, seriously. Like, just look at this. Okay, another thing I wish I would have known before coming to Bali is that their local food is actually really good. Some people are not big fans of, let's say, the local rice or anything on here by the street, but the local eateries, you can kind of like just put together your own meal, look at all the different ingredients. It's really good. So here I'm just stopping by the road we're driving right now, and I have to tell you, until like maybe this year, I've never properly tried it. Bianca is here in the back getting together all the ingredients.
Yeah.
So I got some shredded chicken, some veggies, some zucchini, a bit of rice, some like more fried, some more leaner options. And the price is obviously, as you can imagine, a couple of dollars for a really nice meal. Oh shit, I got that. So, the thing that probably most people don't realize about Bali, it's a fairly large island with big highways, big, let's say, stops on the sides of the road, humongous hotels, and just the infrastructure in general. If you're in the village, you might believe you're in the village. If you drive out to some areas, maybe around Kuta, there's humongous malls like the beach walk we might pass by, movie theaters, and especially just the fact of the sheer size of the island. It's almost like a couple of different islands within one. So driving around, I have to tell you one thing. If you're in the village, Canggu, be it Uluwatu, you're gonna see that most people, especially locals, don't wear helmets. In Canggu, you're gonna drive around. Also, most tourists don't wear helmets. If I'm in Canggu, you know, you go from one spot to another. The thing is, if you're on the main road, first of all, for safety, you got your helmet on. Second of all, you're gonna be stopped by the police if you don't, and they will want to have a fine from you. That can range from, I don't know, it always feels... Yeah, they tell you $1 million, but somehow you can negotiate, judging from my own experience once or twice. Yeah, you hear it from other people. Usually you can get away with paying $10, $20. I don't know exactly how that system works. That's just, as of currently, the matter of experience. So yeah, either just have it on you all the time, or if you're rocking like the locals in the villages, So guys, just coming out of our visa agent's office. All right, that's a classic pull door. So, you see, one of the things I wish I would have known, if we're already talking about that, first time I came to Bali, is the fact that you can fairly easily extend your visa on arrival. You have to do it through a visa agent. It costs around, like, depending which visa it is, visa on arrival, around $50 basically. Personally, I'm using Gaia Bali Visa. They have an office centrally in Seminyak. You can drop off your passports, you can let them come and pick them up and everything like that. So next to that, they also offer company formation and long-term visas. Back in the day, I came with a B211. So definitely that is a thing. Most people do like a so-called visa run. They just leave the country, come back in. But you can also just extend it for another month fairly easily. So yeah, let's continue. So guys, we just rolled up, rolling through Seminyak, and I guess what probably many of you are here for is that juicy scam story. You know, in I think, what is it now, 7 years, 6 years of pretty much constant nomadic living around different countries. I probably have been scammed in my whole life maybe 2 or 3 times. And one of them has been here in Bali. So I'm arriving, first time, naive, full of hopes and wishes and dreams, and a couple of $100,000 bill, 100,000 rupiah bills. And you see the 100,000 looks fairly similar to the 10,000. Yes, they have a bit of a different color, but you know, the zeros might get mixed up. First time you have a currency, I'm sure you can relate. If you're in a new country, they all kind of look a bit similar. Now I see the difference a lot, but back then, I'm trying to pay my taxi driver like around, I think like 50,000 or something I'm trying to pay him. I give him 500,000. He looks at me all surprised and I'm like, good? He's like, yeah, good. Drove away. So that was a one-time thing, and that was also somewhere around here, Seminyak, Kota area. And honestly, you know, if you make that mistake, it's a bit on you as well. It's not like whatever, you know? So speaking of ATMs, here we are in front of it. Honestly, nothing ever has happened to me, but I would definitely be a bit cautious. Like, don't go into the ATMs in like a little side alley. Like, whenever it looks like it could be manipulated, maybe just don't do it. On a nice and busy street, they have a lot of different ATMs. Mostly they don't have an extra surcharge, obviously depending on your bank. And yeah, let's get some cash. So yeah. Okay, so that's perhaps one thing I'm not gonna miss in Bali. If you have been watching the series, you've probably noticed a thing that you wouldn't expect is that in a small, super peaceful place in Bali, outside of the main areas, the traffic is crazy. So the traffic in Canggu during the peak hours is really, you have to see it to believe it. But if you drive out a little bit to less frequented areas, it's actually quite enjoyable. But again, be ready. Like, traffic in Bali overall, if you drive around many of the main areas, is fairly intense, but I think you get used to it fairly quickly. Right? Or not?
Well, I mean, like, if you drive back, it's still a little bit better, but if you have a car, that's just like hell.
Yep.
Nightmare.
Yes, that was a dog on a scooter. As always. Hello. Do you have 2,000? So guys, for the last day, just decided to come out a little bit to the beach for a nice sunset. Bali definitely has some of the best sunsets on most days. 2,000 rupiah for parking. It's like 15 cents. Well, good morning. As you see, a bit of a different environment, guys. Early morning, 6-7 a.m. We are at the airport. So another maybe little trick if you're coming to Bali, especially back in the day, it was kind of a bit tricky to get a taxi. Now they finally have figured it out. But the one trick that I have learned probably last visit is that if you just slightly walk out of the airport, you can get the taxi for like half the price if you order it on like their Grab or Gojek app. And yeah, we're flying out from Bali to Singapore right now, later to a yet undisclosed destination, but let's say it like that. It has been good 2 months in Bali, and I think this was probably so far my best stay, just in terms of the experience as well as just certain productivity, a certain routine. Have really done a lot. I think it was a video series of, I don't know how many, 5-6 videos at least. You can go all the way back, check them out. Probably I'm also gonna come out, seriously, it's early, I'm just mumbling my words. Probably I'm gonna come out with a bit of a top 10 video as well. Let's make sure we're nice and focused here. That was a bit weird. Guys, let's say like that, Bali is always a base. If you're by any chance new here, what I talk about on the channel is building a life of freedom around the world. Usually I travel to 3, 4, sometimes 5 different countries. This year, right now, there's a lot of travel coming up. I think it's gonna be exciting. And while adventure is an aspect, freedom is a big aspect, but also opportunity. And I think Bali is full of all the three. While it's a very developed place, I still like that it has a certain adventure factor. I mean, you see where this video started. We're standing on a cliff, we're feeling alive. We have to take, like, you know, like responsibility for what we do ourselves in these situations. And But at the same time, Bali is such a huge place. If you just go out and discover in so many ways, there's still a huge adventure factor just because of how big the island is. So another thing I wish I would have known is that most of the photo spots, honestly, are not worth it. While at the same time, like especially places like Nusa, Penida, no, honestly, there also the crowds can get huge. But still, if you just take it in, if you take matters into your own hands, the place in Uluwatu, the cliff I've showed you before, if you're just I'm gonna make a top 10 list video for you with, let's say, all the very popular places, as well as maybe some, you know, spots where I go to and I'm sometimes the only person. And yeah, be it for remote living, for staying in Bali out for a couple of months, I think is a fantastic base. For me, it was a little bit of a place to spend winter. And if you're by any chance new here, you can also join me on my Instagram. There, you know, day-to-day life, usually the videos come a month or two later. Well, and you too, got a world to see.